Mike Pazitsky has passed away at the age of 81 following a battle with cancer, bringing an end to the life of a public figure whose career became closely tied to the city of Wilmington, Delaware. For many residents, Mike Pazitsky was more than simply a politician. He became one of those familiar local leaders whose presence remained connected to the everyday rhythm of city life through years of public service, civic projects, and community leadership. Serving as mayor of Wilmington from 2017 until 2025, Pazitsky guided the city through a period of both challenge and change. Local politics rarely receives the same national attention as Washington headlines, yet figures like him often leave the deepest impact directly within the communities they serve. Streets, neighborhoods, development projects, public conversations, those are the places where local leaders become woven into the people's daily lives. Before politics became dominated by non-stop online outrage and constant media spectacle, many city leaders built reputations more quietly through long-term involvement in local institutions and civic work. Pazitsky belonged partly to that older style of public service. His career stretched beyond election cycles into decades of involvement with Wilmington itself, and for many residents, his name became associated with the city's ongoing efforts toward growth and stability. There is also something reflective about hearing news like this now. One by one, the public figures connected to earlier generations of local American politics continue disappearing. Leaders who operated before social media transformed every political moment into national theater. Their work was often less visible outside their communities, yet deeply remembered within them. And time keeps moving forward, the way it always does. For longtime residents of Wilmington, Mike Pazitsky's passing will likely feel connected not only to the loss of a former mayor, but also to the gradual fading of a particular civic era, one shaped by familiar faces, local leadership, and the slow passage of years inside a city many people still call home. John Houston Rickard has passed away at the age of 86, bringing a quiet close to the life of a religious leader whose decades of service became connected to generations of Catholic communities across the United States. For many people within the church, Bishop Rickard represented a familiar presence from a very different era of American religious life, a time when local bishops and clergy often carried deep influence within everyday community life beyond church walls themselves. Born in 1939, Rickard spent much of his life devoted to ministry, eventually serving as Auxiliary Bishop of Baltimore before later becoming Bishop of Pensacola, Tallahassee from 1997 until 2007. His career unfolded during years when the Catholic Church in America faced enormous cultural changes, shifting social values, declining traditional institutions, and difficult internal challenges that reshaped religious life across the country. Leaders from his generation often found themselves balancing tradition with a rapidly changing modern world. There was something quieter about religious leadership during much of Rickard's era. Before public life became dominated by constant digital attention, bishops and clergy were often known most directly through personal relationships within parishes, schools, hospitals, and local ministries. Their influence was built slowly over decades through presence, routine, and community trust, rather than public visibility alone. For many Catholics, figures like Bishop Rickard became woven into important life moments: baptisms, weddings, funerals, confirmations, and ordinary Sunday services repeated year after year. That creates a different kind of memory, one rooted less in celebrity and more in familiarity and spiritual continuity. And time keeps moving quietly forward. One by one, the religious leaders connected to earlier generations of American church life continue fading away. Not always figures known widely outside their communities, but people whose lives shaped thousands of others through years of steady service. And with the passing of Bishop John Houston Ricard, another voice from that older era of American Catholic leadership now passes into history. Mike Galloway has passed away at the age of 60, a name that many football supporters from the 1980s and 1990s will remember as part of a very different era of British football. Reports announcing his death brought sadness across parts of the football world, especially among fans who remember the tougher, rougher atmosphere of the game before modern football became dominated by global branding, non-stop media coverage, and billion-dollar spectacle. Born in England, but representing Scotland internationally, Mike Galloway built a career that carried him through clubs including Halifax Town and Celtic FC, where he became familiar to supporters during a period when football still felt deeply tied to local identity and working-class culture. Stadiums looked different then. Smaller crowds packed tightly into old stands, cold afternoons under grey skies, muddy pitches, and a style of football built as much on grit and physicality as flair. Players from Galloway's generation carried themselves differently too. Before social media transformed athletes into constant public personalities, footballers were often known mainly through match days and newspaper reports. There was distance between players and fans, but also authenticity. Careers unfolded without the relentless spotlight modern professionals face every hour online. After his playing days, Galloway continued working within football as a coach, remaining connected to the sport that shaped most of his life. For many former players of his era, football was never simply a profession. It became identity, routine, and community, lasting long after retirement. And time keeps moving quietly forward. One by one, the footballers connected to earlier generations of British football continue fading away. Not always the biggest international superstars, but the players who helped define the feeling of the game for supporters who lived through those decades. Because hearing about Mike Galloway's passing is also a reminder of how quickly the football world he belonged to, the old stadiums, the local rivalries, the raw atmosphere of British football before the modern era, continues slipping further into memory. Robert Woodson has passed away at the age of 89, closing the life of a man whose work in activism and community advocacy stretched across some of the most turbulent and transformative decades in modern American history. For many people familiar with public policy, civil rights discussions, and grassroots community movements, Robert Woodson represented a voice that often stood outside traditional political categories, independent, outspoken, and deeply focused on local solutions to national problems. Born during an America still divided by segregation and racial inequality, Woodson lived through enormous social change. His career unfolded during decades marked by civil rights struggles, urban unrest, shifting political ideologies, and ongoing debates about poverty, crime, education, and opportunity in American communities. Unlike many activists who became defined mainly through television appearances or political branding, Woodson built much of his reputation through direct community work and long-term advocacy efforts focused on neighborhood leadership and local empowerment. There was something distinctly old school about figures from his generation. Before activism became deeply tied to social media visibility and non-stop online debate, many organizers built influence slowly through in-person relationships, churches, community meetings, and grassroots networks. Woodson belonged to that world, a period when activism often depended more on physical presence and direct organizing than digital attention. Over the years, He became known nationally for challenging conventional political narratives from both sides, often emphasizing personal responsibility, community leadership, and solutions emerging from within struggling neighborhoods themselves. Whether people agreed with all of his views or not, few questioned the consistency of his commitment to the communities he worked with throughout his life. And time continues moving quietly forward. One by one, the activists and public thinkers connected to the civil rights generation continue fading into history, taking with them first-hand memories of some of America's most defining social battles. Because hearing about Robert Woodson's passing is also a reminder that the generation shaped directly by those decades of upheaval, protest, and transformation is slowly disappearing, leaving history itself feeling a little more distant with every passing year. Jack Nicholson, A Life Larger Than the Screen. Biography and obituary style. Tribute to a Hollywood legend. Few actors in the history of cinema have left an imprint as deep, unforgettable, and enduring as Jack Nicholson. With his trademark grin, piercing eyes, rebellious charisma, and extraordinary ability to portray both charm and menace, Nicholson became one of the defining faces of modern Hollywood. For more than 6 decades, he captivated audiences around the world, delivering performances that were equal parts electrifying, unpredictable, and profoundly human. Born John Joseph Nicholson on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey, Nicholson rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most celebrated actors of all time. He won 3 Academy Awards, earned a record 12 Oscar nominations for acting, and starred in some of cinema's most influential films. His career spanned generations, evolving from low-budget productions and television appearances into iconic roles that forever changed the landscape of film. To millions, Jack Nicholson was more than a movie star. He was a symbol of artistic freedom, individuality, and fearless creativity. Whether portraying a rebellious anti-hero, a troubled outsider, a romantic dreamer, or a terrifying villain, he possessed a rare ability to make every character unforgettable. His performances in films such as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, Terms of Endearment, Batman, A Few Good Men, and As Good as It Gets remain benchmarks of cinematic excellence. This is the story of Jack Nicholson, a boy raised amid family secrets, a dreamer who refused to abandon Hollywood, a performer who transformed acting, and a cultural icon whose legacy continues to inspire artists and audiences across the world. Jack Nicholson was born on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey, United States. His arrival into the world came under circumstances that would remain hidden from him for decades. He was raised believing that his grandmother, Ethel Mae Nicholson, was his mother, and that his biological mother, June Nicholson, was actually his sister. The truth was concealed because June had become pregnant at a young age, and the family feared social judgment during a period when unmarried motherhood carried significant stigma. For much of his life, Nicholson had no idea that the woman he called his sister was actually his mother. The revelation would not come until adulthood and would profoundly shape his understanding of identity and family. Despite the unusual family dynamics, Nicholson enjoyed a relatively stable upbringing. Ethel Mae was known for her strong personality and determination. She worked tirelessly to support the family, while young Jack grew up surrounded by affection and encouragement. Childhood in New Jersey, Nicholson spent most of his youth in Spring Lake, New Jersey, a coastal town where he developed an independent spirit. Friends remembered him as intelligent, witty, and charismatic. Even as a child, He displayed the confidence and humor that would later become trademarks of his screen persona. He loved sports, especially baseball and basketball, but he also enjoyed reading and entertainment. Movies fascinated him from an early age. The glamour of Hollywood seemed worlds away from New Jersey, yet Nicholson felt drawn towards storytelling and performance. Teachers often described him as bright, but unconventional. He possessed natural curiosity and questioned authority, traits that would later influence many of his most memorable roles. Education and early interests. Nicholson attended Manasquan High School, where he was active in student activities and known for his outgoing personality. He was voted class clown, a title that foreshadowed his future ability to entertain audiences. Though he enjoyed academics, Nicholson did not follow a traditional educational path after graduation. Instead of pursuing college, he decided to chase opportunities elsewhere. That decision would ultimately change his life forever. Moving to California. In the mid-1950s, Nicholson relocated to California. The move represented a leap of faith fueled by ambition and curiosity. Initially, he worked behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. One of his earliest jobs was at the animation department of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, where he performed office duties and observed filmmaking firsthand. Executives recognized his potential and encouraged him to pursue animation. However, Nicholson had different dreams. He wanted to act. Rejecting a safer career path, he committed himself to studying performance and auditioning for roles. It was a risky choice, but one that revealed his determination. Early acting struggles, like countless aspiring actors, Nicholson faced rejection. His first years in Hollywood were filled with auditions, small television appearances, and low-budget films. Opportunities were limited, and success seemed distant. He appeared in minor productions and worked tirelessly to improve his craft. During this period, he developed relationships with independent filmmakers who appreciated his unconventional energy. One of his earliest notable film appearances came in The Crybaby Killer. Though the film was modest in scope, it marked the beginning of his professional acting career. Throughout the 1960s, Nicholson appeared in numerous low-budget projects produced by filmmaker Roger Corman. These productions provided valuable experience and allowed him to explore different genres. Writing and creative development. Nicholson was not content merely to act. He also explored screenwriting and production work, demonstrating a deep interest in storytelling. He wrote scripts and collaborated with filmmakers who were reshaping American cinema. This period sharpened his understanding of character development, dialogue, and narrative structure. The lessons learned behind the camera would strengthen his performances in front of it. The breakthrough, Easy Rider. Everything changed in 1969. Nicholson was cast as alcoholic lawyer George Hanson in Easy Rider. Though his screen time was limited, his performance was impossible to ignore. With humor, vulnerability, and authenticity, Nicholson transformed what could have been a supporting role into one of the film's most memorable characters. Audiences loved him, critics praised him, Hollywood took notice. The performance earned Nicholson his first Academy Award nomination and instantly elevated him into the national spotlight. At age 32, after years of uncertainty, he had finally arrived. Following the success of Easy Rider, Nicholson delivered one of the defining performances of his career in 5 Easy Pieces. He portrayed Bobby Dupere, a talented pianist struggling with identity, family expectations, and personal dissatisfaction. The character resonated deeply with audiences during a period of social change and cultural questioning. Nicholson captured frustration, alienation, and vulnerability with remarkable honesty. The film established him as one of America's most important actors. The Last Detail. In 1973, Nicholson starred in The Last Detail. His portrayal of Navy sailor Budusky showcased his ability to combine humor, compassion, and emotional complexity. Critics celebrated the performance, and Nicholson earned another Academy Award nomination. By now, he had become a leading figure in the new Hollywood movement, joining a generation of actors who brought realism and psychological depth to the screen. Major works and achievements. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. In 1975, Nicholson delivered perhaps the most celebrated performance of his career. As Randall Patrick McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, he portrayed a rebellious man institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital. The role demanded humor, courage, vulnerability, and defiance. Nicholson mastered every aspect. His performance earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor and helped the film achieve one of cinema's rarest accomplishments, winning the 5 major Oscars. The character became an enduring symbol of resistance against oppressive authority. The Shining 5 years later came another legendary role. In The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, Nicholson portrayed Jack Torrance, a writer descending into madness. His chilling transformation remains one of horror cinema's most unforgettable performances. The image of Nicholson breaking through a door and shouting, "Here's Johnny!" became part of popular culture. Decades later, audiences continue to regard the performance as one of the greatest portrayals of psychological terror ever filmed. Terms of endearment. Nicholson won his second Academy Award for portraying retired astronaut Garrett Breedlove in Terms of Endearment. The role showcased his remarkable versatility. Known for intense and rebellious characters, Nicholson surprised audiences with warmth, humor, and romantic charm. The performance demonstrated that he could excel in virtually any genre. Preetzi's Honor. In Preetzi's Honor, Nicholson delivered another acclaimed performance, blending crime drama with dark comedy. His ability to balance seriousness and humor remained unmatched. Batman. In 1989, Nicholson reinvented the comic book villain. Playing the Joker in Batman, he brought theatricality, menace, and unpredictability to the character. His performance influenced countless future portrayals of comic book villains. The role introduced Nicholson to a new generation of moviegoers and became one of the most commercially successful projects of his career. A Few Good Men. One of cinema's most quoted scenes arrived in 1992. As Colonel Nathan R. Jessup in A Few Good Men, Nicholson delivered the unforgettable line, "You can't handle the truth." The performance, though relatively brief, dominated the film and remains one of the most iconic courtroom moments in movie history, as good as it gets. Nicholson won his third Academy Award for portraying Melvin Udall in As Good as It Gets. The role demanded emotional nuance and comedic precision. As a difficult writer struggling with obsessive-compulsive behaviors, Nicholson balanced cruelty, vulnerability, and humanity. The performance reminded audiences that even after decades of success, he remained at the peak of his powers. A larger-than-life personality. Nicholson's off-screen persona became almost as famous as his film roles. He possessed confidence, intelligence, humor, and an unmistakable rebellious streak. Friends described him as curious, well-read, and endlessly fascinated by people. Despite his celebrity status, he often appeared relaxed and approachable. Passion for sports. One of Nicholson's greatest passions was basketball. He became synonymous with courtside seats at games involving the Los Angeles Lakers. For decades, television cameras frequently captured Nicholson enthusiastically supporting the team. His presence became part of the Lakers' experience itself. Relationships and family. Nicholson maintained a highly publicized romantic life. Over the years, he was linked to numerous actresses, models, and artists. Though he never married, he became the father of several children and expressed deep affection for his family. As he grew older, family relationships became increasingly important. Love of art and culture. Nicholson developed a significant interest in art collecting. He assembled an impressive collection featuring works from respected artists and demonstrated sophisticated appreciation for culture beyond cinema. Books, music, politics, and visual arts all occupied his attention.